Once again, that old-fashioned BBC sounder is a way of saying, hey, we're back. Please pay attention. This is Interesting Ideas for a Monday afternoon. And we trust things are going fairly well for you. Fairly well for me. However, there is a little bit of Monday blues as we're looking at some projects and seeing whether they're going to work and hopefully keep them north, true north, and keep them from going south. So we're working on that. But something very unusual. I've heard about it. I've heard of other people do it, but it actually happened to me today. And so we're going to just briefly talk about that, get your response to that. And could it be that Tucker Carlson is being held hostage? And that has some interesting stories to it. Certainly an interesting idea. And then a little talk, what I call the shepherd story. The shepherd story. Hopefully some thoughts for a Monday that'll get you going in terms of thinking a little more creatively, and hopefully it'll be helpful to you. My name is Stan Houston. This is What It Takes Radio, a company that is designed to help you connect with your audience and perhaps to have a brief touch of immortality. We'll always tell you more about that. Hey, the program begins right now. Well, just before I came to the studio this morning, I was up very, very early, picking up some work and getting a lot of work done, and then went out and did a few errands and came back to the recording studio. And when I was out, I was running a usual, Monday morning errands, and I was at the dollar store picking up some stuff there. Always watch out for that stuff. And as a nice woman was just paying her bill, and then as I put my stuff forward and it went through, she stood there and said, and I'm paying for his too. And she offered to pay my bill. I don't know her. She doesn't know me at all. I'm just the next person in line. And she offered to pay my bill. Well, I went up to her and said, my goodness, no, you can't do that. And she said, it's not very much, and I want to pay your bill. And I said, you are truly a beautiful person, and that's incredibly grateful. But let me tell you, there are people who could probably use the help more than I need it. I mean, I'm always very grateful for help, but I'm just fine. So, hey, why don't you do it next time with somebody who probably needs it a little bit more than me? And she said, well, you're very kind too. And I said, no, you are the one that's very kind. You are the kind of person who's making the world a little bit better. And we agreed, and she said, I'll remember you when I do it for somebody else. I've heard of people doing that just as kind of a random act of kindness and just making the world a better place. And I just never had it done for me before. But I thought about that. I'm going to try that myself sometime. And where perhaps it's obvious that, someone might be a little bit struggling or dealing with things that they could perhaps use someone to say, hey, let me take care of it for you. I would love to hear some of your stories about that. Have any of you ever tried to do that? I would love to have you kind of write in, do a voicemail in, and tell me the story of doing that. And by the way, now you can do that. It's so easily. This is what the magic of this media is. You could take your smartphone and, it has a audio recording voice note section, and you could tell me a story of either having done that yourself or having it done to you. And then all you do is you can send it via an email, and it goes right to me, and I can then, even though that's how it was done, we can turn that into a pretty broadcast quality program. In fact, that's something that you can do all the time, and I'd love to hear your story. So on that Monday good note, not a blue note at all, just nice to know that there are people around still who are good at being real good. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. The other news is, as I always say, wait 72 hours. And that's why whether it's a tragedy like a gun shooting or anything else of current events that hits the breaking news, people pop off all the time and talk. Now, I've done a little bit on Tucker Carlson because what happened to him when the Fox News media fired him obviously has repercussions for a lot of the people in the radio industry and in my business that we need to know about and talk about. And so I did a video program on my program, which is how to be world class, how to reach your audience, how to teach your and tell your story. And that's what we do. Those of you who want to do something like this, have a strong voice, and we'll talk about that this week. If you'd like to be on the radio and have your own podcast program, like so many important people are, and you are important. So if you want to do that, you can reach out to me again at stanhouston@gmail.com, and we'll be able to help you get on the radio and make that happen. But the news now is that Tucker Carlson wasn't fired. At least that's the reports from an old colleague, Megyn Kelly, who left Fox News after not necessarily having a happy relationship at the end. And I heard this from one other source, is that they're still negotiating because his contract goes through to the 24 election, which obviously you can see makes sense. He's a major, he has one of the top-rated news programs, commentary programs in the nation, and obviously he's made a lot of money for Fox, and Fox has paid him a lot of money. But then this sudden firing, which we now realize had a number of implications in it, but now the thought is that he wasn't fired. He just was taken off his program, and that if he wants to do something else, he can't because he's still under contract and still being paid till 2024. And some people are speculating that Fox is willing to pay the price to shut him up, because as long as he's under contract to Fox, he can't work for somebody else. And so unless he perhaps breaks that and risks severe financial penalties, or unless he may be able to negotiate a deal where he is totally released from his contract, and then he can go out and find something else, and obviously he will. He can even start his own something else, which he probably will do. But isn't that an interesting phenomenon, how those kind of politics and personalities and things like that take place? And part of the problem is, at least in some respects, is though he has not done another program, Carlson, Tucker, has been a guest, as he obviously can, on other people's podcasts. And he's done it before, and some of those are being replayed now. And one of his strong character qualities, and I guess some people would wonder if it is a real character quality, but I believe it is, and I believe many people would believe it is, that he is strongly believing that the leadership class in our country is failing us. They're just not, and it's not just the politics. It's in so many institutions, educational, entertainment, in so many corporations and technologies, that the men and women who are running things are not very good at it. And in many cases, as he said, I know them, and I've discovered they're not very good people. And so that major thrust right now, which is as we're looking at the world as it is, we're saying, oh my goodness, what a mess. And that's part of going to be the ongoing malaise that's going to be taking over. And we're trying to overcome it ourselves, and perhaps you're trying to overcome it too. We are more than overcomers, we hope. I'm Stan Houston. These are interesting ideas. Again, I want to help you get on the radio. And by the way, one of the best ways to start is to say, Stan, I'd like to perhaps sponsor your program and talk to you so I can pitch my stuff. We're always looking for patrons and sponsors. And perhaps you have a way that you can participate in our program. I believe you can. Again, stanhustad at gmail.com, STANHUSTAD, at the proverbial gmail.com. We have other ones, but you'll remember that one easier. Okay, time for a break. We'll be back. One of the programs I've done in kind of the Christian religious sphere, which obviously you know I operate in that thing. I do that part of my life and work too. I have many operations going on, and one of them are very particularly the Jesus Entrepreneur Experience is strongly, and you would love some of the things you would learn in that. And then a variety of others. I'm helping a variety of religious organizations do podcasts. Well, in effect, I had a wonderful experience again yesterday, and here's what happened. Because I, at one time, did a program that simply said, was Jesus a cowboy? And the way I framed that is that, in effect, he was a carpenter, yeah, but he talks about being the good shepherd. And what do shepherds do? Shepherds take care of sheep. And if Jesus is a good shepherd, he says he was, that's what he came to be, could he be a cowboy? And that literally shepherds were not first-class people. That was not a great job, even though in the Christmas story it kind of makes them out as a little bit of heroes. But the wonderful contrast was that the wise men, rich from the east, and they came a long ways, but the poor shepherds, who were essentially cowboys, only they did sheep rather than cattle, were the people who left their flocks on the hillside. Someone had to stay there to watch them, but they went down to see what the angel said, and there they discovered the newborn Christ child. Okay, that's the story. But they were animal herders. And so could it be that Jesus takes the instrument of his birth and takes instruments of technology and how to do that, how shepherds worked, and he puts them into his stories, and he puts them literally from many of the references in the Hebrew scriptures that God is like a shepherd. You know, the most famous that often is said at funerals, the 23rd Psalm, the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. Okay, enough for that. But here's what happened. The last Sunday, in many churches throughout the world, it is the fourth Sunday after the Easter celebration, and they have what is called the Lord's Shepherd, the Good Shepherd Sunday. And they read the story, and they tell the story of, God is a shepherd. And the children's sermon went around that, but it's very creative. What happened is they were talking about, and the the gentleman doing the sermon says, have you ever seen a sheep? No. Well, now you get to. And all of a sudden, right down the middle of the church aisle comes these two shepherds holding two young lambs. and one of them starts to bleat and yell, and it's quite a scene as the children gather around, and they're so excited to see these sheep. Now, obviously, some of them are a little scared of them, just like anything else. Some of them ragging. And then they talked about that, and they said, well, let's go out and let's go play with the sheep for a while, and we'll feed them, and then you can come back and sit with your parents, after you've washed your hands. And they went out, and for about 10 or 15 minutes before the actual sermon started, there were other things, of course, they were out playing with the sheep. And then the pastor, who's a remarkable man, was literally head of the Air Force chaplains, who's now doing somewhat of an interim work at this church here in Cary, North Carolina. And he points out, and this caught me, he said, the idea of a shepherd is someone who rescues you, takes care of you, helps you out. That's what the shepherds do for the sheep. They protect them, they help them, they care for them. And he went on to say, every one of us is going to need a shepherd sometime. And there'll be a situation where we really need help. And most people look for shepherds in the wrong things. They think money, power, sex, influence, all of the things that we think will help us out of the messes we are in, we will try. So everybody is looking for a shepherd. We're all looking for shepherds because we all will need a shepherd at some time, maybe many times. And so let's make sure that we're looking for shepherds in all the right places and in all the right persons. Well, I'll just let that sit on your head for a Monday evening. Do you need a shepherd? And who or where or what are you looking for to be one for you? Stan Houston, interesting ideas. I hope they're helpful to you. We'll finish up and make an invitation and a little bit of a promotion, and then we're done. All the best and blessings to you as you go through the week. Thank you so much for being part of the program. And I would love to have your participation, so please do that. As I've said many times, 3 to 7 times, stanhouston@gmail.com, stanhouston@gmail.com. Please recommend us. Please put a nice review or recommendation for us. And please be in touch with us. And perhaps you can find a way to make your mark in the marketplace. That's what we do, and we think we can help you do it well. Help you reach your audience, and perhaps not only reach them, connect with them, and help them. And in you helping them, they'll help you. And that's the mark of a good business. And we can help you improve your business. Again, stanhouston@gmail.com. And we'll be back, if we can, on Tuesday with more interesting ideas. All the best. Till next time, bye for now.